What up, guys? How's it going? What's going in? Happy Friday. I haven't done any news this week, so caught up in that Sean Ryan podcast yesterday. I wanted to get back into that, and we will. But we gotta catch up with the news. A lot has happened this week. That's a little bit of an understatement.
A major cabinet shakeup yesterday as President Trump fired.
Yeah, Kristi Noem's gone. That should have happened a while ago, though. It seemed like it's been a little quiet with her name. I haven't heard her name in probably about a month or two, so... Yep, and here we go.
Fired Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, the first of his second term.
According to a report from the Wall Street Journal, this was something that Trump had been mulling over for at least a week and was reportedly getting frustrated with the infighting and drama in her agency. He announced the change in leadership on Truth Social, writing in a post, "Secretary Kristi Noem, who has served us well and has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, will be moving to be special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere we are announcing on Saturday in Doral, Florida. I thank Kristi for her service at Homeland." Noem reportedly got the call notifying her that she had been fired just moments before taking the stage at a law enforcement event in Nashville. But she didn't comment on it there, instead opting to respond on X with a post of her own, writing, "Thank you at POTUS Trump for appointing me as the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. The Western Hemisphere is absolutely critical for U.S. security. In this new role, I will be able to build on the partnerships and national security expertise I forged over the last 13 months as Secretary of Homeland Security."
Now, Noem has long been a target of Democrats.
I bet you Trump's like, "You will say something nice about me on your way out. I won't have it any other way, or else you're gone. So be thankful for what I've given you."
Who have criticized immigration enforcement tactics under her leadership. But it was her
Let's be real, though. Nobody really liked Kristi Noem. I don't know anybody who's like, yeah, she's doing a great job.
answers to Congress during hearings this week that seemed to be the final straw for President Trump. During that Senate hearing on Tuesday, Noem was asked about this ad campaign that heavily featured, well, her.
I'm Kristi Noem. I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security.
That campaign reportedly cost more than $200 million, a fact that Republican Senator John Kennedy pressed her on, and she said the president approved. Take a listen.
You have spent $220 million running television advertisements.
$200 million?
That feature you prominently.
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country.
The president approved ahead of time you spending
$220
million.
$220
running TV
million
ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president know
worked
you
with
were going to
OMB.
do this?
Yes.
He did.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That response reportedly infuriated the president, who disputed that he approved it. He told Reuters, quote, "I never knew anything about it." And then there's the allegations that she had an affair with her top aide, Corey Lewandowski. She was pressed about that in the House hearing on Wednesday, to which led to this exchange.
I thought they were going to say $2 million, and I was like,
relations with Corey Lewandowski.
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
It is okay for you to be offended by the question.
It
is okay for you to be offended by the question. But it is also a real question.
Now, Noem never gave a definitive answer to the question. Just a day later, Trump announced that, well, she was fired.
In that same Truth Social post, Trump announced his pick for her replacement will be Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin. He called Mullin a, quote, MAGA warrior and former undefeated professional MMA fighter. Markwayne truly gets along well with people and knows the wisdom and courage required to advance our America First agenda. He also said Mullin is set to take the role of acting secretary starting at the end of this month. It's still unclear when any confirmation hearings will begin. The response to Noem's firing and Mullin being tapped as her replacement came quickly, with most Republicans showing support for the move. Senator Lindsey Graham posting on X in part, "I appreciate Secretary Noem's service to our country. However, I think it was time for a change." President Trump could not have chosen a better candidate to be Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security than Senator Markwayne Mullin.
But Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom was much more irreverent about the news, his press office writing in a post, quote, "Bye, girl." And as for Mullin, he wrote in a separate post, in part, Markwayne Mullin could not remember if we were at war this week, and said, quote, "I don't want reality at a Senate hearing about race. This erratic, unstable man is now in charge of Homeland Security."
Oh, the drama.
The drama of it all.
What is he? Is he
what's so
Giga Hitler?
fascinating
What,
to me?
what are we?
I saw a
What are
Meghan
we
McCain
calling
tweet
him
that I
now?
really appreciated, where she talked about each episode of Game of Thrones costing about $15 million.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the production value for most
200
production is like a chef's kiss for that.
God.
But Christy Noem spending $220 million on a commercial. She's like,
fuck
"What
are
in
you
the?
doing?"
I'm lost. What were you doing? Because it doesn't look better than Game of Thrones, whatever you were doing. So I'm confused about why you
It was
spent that
cringe. It was
and how you're
hilarious. I laughed at it.
justifying spending the gross GDP of a small country.
And she used the emergency
Who
authorization
gave you the green
to
light on
basically
this?
bypass the normal contract bidding process. And they used a subcontracting process to make sure that an old political ally of hers was the one that was actually getting the money for this. So that was what made it even more scandalous, and why you had senators on the Republican side like John Kennedy really grilling her for this. And Daily Caller has done some reporting on Noam's ouster. They've talked to several administration officials, one of which had this quote, which was pretty spicy.
I love when you have some
I know. It's laughable that Christie is trying to blame her own self-inflicted issues on someone else. The issues that led to Christie's replacement were a result of her own wrongdoings, not a lack of support from the White House. And that was in response to a second administration official who said that Christie had felt that she was thrown under the bus after the Minneapolis situation, and that she wasn't getting proper support from the White House.
Not
And apparently she
necessarily.
did go to the White House and ask for more support in the beginning of this year, which Trump gave to her.
It was more
but
the
then
other guy.
when
What was
Minneapolis
his name?
boiled over, he said, "Okay, enough is enough."
Right. I think
Can't
the
remember his
response,
name.
something else that stuck out to me from that hearing was,
He was in and out
Alex
real
Pretty's
quick.
family basically asking for an apology, or however she wanted to address
Before
the
Homan
situation.
came in,
Even if
whatever
it's
that
not,
dude's name
I
was.
know a lot of time with the hearings, I think we agree upon this, that they're used from both sides of the aisle to clip out moments to try to embarrass the other side and then fundraise. But even in private, a conversation between any of the families, as the department leader who called and described these people as domestic terrorists in both occasions within minutes of the incidents, without full information. Even Tom Homan, who's strict on the border and strict on immigration policy, was like, let's pause, let's do some investigations, and let's discuss. The fact that she wasn't able to just acknowledge that there may be a conversation that could have been had, or a pause that may have been taken, and to do it back to back, to me just showed that nothing was going to ever change, or no discernment was going to be shown down the line. And I think that that is a little bit alarming too, just to think, like, at the end of the day, when we wanted immigration to take place, we didn't want Americans to die, no matter where you fall as this investigation plays itself out. And so we certainly don't want the leader of the Department of Homeland Security immediately saying things that are not even backed up by the President of the United States.
I was always concerned about her lack of law enforcement experience, and then going back to her time as South Dakota governor,
Oh, God.
one of the things that Republicans were really suspicious of her
rock is on
over
fire.
was that during the big backlash to transgender ideology, she was presented with a bill from the Republicans in the state House and Senate that would have prohibited men from participating in women's sports on the collegiate level. And she had talked a big game about this, but then refused to sign the bill, saying, well, then the NCAA is going to pull tournaments from our state and we're going to lose money. And the conservative reaction was, well, why are you worried about money? Like, this is the right thing to do. And so she was a very politically calculating person, it seemed. And these advertisements were for her to do like a beauty pageant type
Yeah,
of
it was
Miss
I
World
saw
All?
them all over the
She's
place.
on the horse with her, her plaid shirt
Yeah,
on and her cowgirl
it's so
hat,
good.
and she's got the last. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I know we have to go, but is
Oh my
there,
God, there's
do you think
three
there's
of
a
them.
hesitancy in this second time that Trump's president for him to fire cabinet members? Because moving her over, she said, I got a new job.
And
Everyone
he
else
did that-
said fire.
And he did that to Michael Waltz too. who
So
was
I
the
wanna know
national
what that's all
security
about.
Advisor. I think that there was the perception in the first admin that things were very chaotic because there were a lot of exits in the first year, and he's probably trying to avoid this idea that it's that all of these staff members were not qualified or not the best, as he describes them, and so he just keeps them around. But I mean, the other quick thing I'll just mention is that Kristi Noem apparently had a very bad relationship with Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, who's known as the Ice Queen. She apparently tried to get Susie and Trump's other campaign
nickname.
manager, Chris LaCivita, fired
Can't
during
deny
the
it.
2024 campaign. And if you are having constant tension with the Chief of Staff who has the president's ear, that's probably never going to end well.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll see what happens next with Mark Wade Mullen, right?
Yeah, we will. Up next, more than 20 states are suing President Trump in an attempt to block his latest tariffs. Don't go anywhere.
I think Oregon is one of those. Oh, what's going on today? I can't get over. It's being angry. It was working just fine yesterday. Get rid of that bad boy. What is this? RFK?
Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., has a new fast food target, and it's causing some anger in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Last week, during an Eat Real Food rally in Austin, Texas, he blasted, among others, Boston's beloved breakfast chain Dunkin' Donuts, suggesting that his agency may pull its product if they can't be proven to be safe. Take a listen.
And we're going to ask Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks, show us the safety data that show that it's okay for a teenage girl to drink an iced coffee with 115 grams of sugar in it. I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
That jab at the New England coffee staple prompted major backlash.
About time,
online.
Bob.
Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey posted this photo on X, challenging Secretary Kennedy to come and take it.
Dead. I'm so dead.
Several other users
BRB.
posted a version of the "Don't Tread on Me" flag that read "Donut Tread on Me." Love that. One even referenced the Boston Tea Party, warning Kennedy, quote, "We take drinks very seriously in New England."
Ron Flipkowski even joined in, writing, "Now he's coming for Dunkin' Donuts. This means war." And former White House COVID czar, Dr. Ashisha Jha, responded to the news, "Everyone is on the side of Dunkin'. If there's too much sugar in some iced coffees, that's between Dunkin' Donuts and the customer. Would recommend outsiders not mess with Dunkin'."
I'm relieved to hear a Democrat say that, because actually this is helpful to remember that, you know, for all the affection our MAGA and some Republicans have for RFK Jr. due to his activities during COVID, the man was a lifelong Democrat until 5 minutes ago. He is from the family most associated with the single family most associated with the Democratic Party, maybe other than the Clintons. And his lifelong career crusade was banning unhealthy foods,
Cleaning up the
more
river.
environmental regulation,
Yeah.
more energy regulation, more lawsuits against medical companies. That's all Democrat stuff. Republicans,
Not
I
no mo.
thought, were the party that was like, you know, again, you can come and take our unhealthy foods from our cold, dead hands. When Michelle Obama wanted to make school lunches more healthy, Republicans correctly, me too, threw a fit. There was that California state senator or state bill, you know, trying to
Forgot
ban
I was
sugary sodas, all that stuff. That was all Democrat stuff. This is Democrat stuff.
Oh, God.
We're not, I don't, he's autonomous from Trump, but the administration should tell him to cool it on that. People, if people
I
are
got a
drinking
bad checkpoint.
sugary drinks or
Really
eating too
bad
many
checkpoint.
donuts, it's really not the government's business. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say.
America is a pretty unhealthy country. It's unfortunate when you look at other countries, a little bit better with the health. We have a huge overweight population.
is gonna be
So
tough.
having him do this is some of the Make America Healthy Again stuff that I'm not too opposed to. I do think that it's up to the consumer to decide to willingly go purchase something that's sugary for their child, or a child to go do that. But when you talk about school lunches and some of the things that Michelle Obama was going to do, some people rely on eating that. That's why they have like the free lunch program or free breakfast. And so their parents should send them to school hoping that they get, like, let's say milk and whatever. But sometimes it's just like pizza and some unhealthy French fries.
It
And
used
it's
to be
well,
so
you
bad.
don't have
And
the
it probably
capacity,
still is.
which is unfortunate in this country, to cover your kids' meal expenses, and the school helps you out in that
But
way.
she was
You would
taking
hope
away.
that they,
She was reducing.
yes, so you would have more healthy options.
Okay.
That's we would like kids to be healthy, right? We want to start them off
Well, then
healthy.
it's just, what
So I don't.
what's healthy starts to get a little.
It doesn't. In other countries, they don't have red dyes in their foods. We still do because we are greedy.
Okay,
That's what he's
teenage
trying to
boys
take care of,
who
though.
are on sports teams can't subsist on 2 sticks of carrots for lunch.
That wasn't
okay?
the option.
They need carbs.
You're exaggerating.
They need,
That wasn't the option. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's a balanced meal, and doctors will tell you what a balanced nutritionist, matter of fact, will tell you what a balanced meal looks like. And it shouldn't just be like, oh, boys will
Every
be boys.
side,
20
God.
pizzas. Like, no, it's not healthy. Don't you want
If
healthy
they're
kids
active
to
and
grow
they're
up in
moving around, they can eat 20 pieces of
Don't
pizza,
you
they'll be
want
fine.
healthy adults in this society? You don't want people dying of heart attacks when you don't want people dying of
Well,
high
like-
cholesterol. Like, we can avoid these things at a young age. And
It's such
this is the
stupid
part
framing.
that
It's
RFK
like, what
is
are
trying
you,
to
a
do to help
child?
people
Yes,
be a
we
little bit
want healthy
healthier.
adults,
I'm sure if we look at some
Lindsay.
other countries that do have a lot of the changes we have in America, the ingredient usage is different.
I hate it when they
specifically-
argue like that. It's like,
Specifically in
no,
places like
stop
the
being
Middle East, they're
stupid.
very
Stop
strict
being
about what
stupid.
people can eat, and I know they're strict about
They're
a
very
lot of
strict
things.
about a lot of
Okay,
things.
so then
They're
they
very
might be
strict about
healthier.
women showing their faces, but
Fine,
we
but we should
import that to our
So
culture.
why can't we take what makes sense to keep us healthier and rid ourselves of the other things that we don't like? What's wrong with that? Why would you argue against people being healthier? Like, if there's a sugar
Why would I,
that tastes
talk
need to
about
find a
that's
different route.
unfair.
no, that's what you said. Like, kids in school, they should eat the 20 pizzas. I'm like, oh no, if you can mix some more health in there, that's good. If you could get active.
If they're physically active, it doesn't matter as much.
That's
Which
a
we
lot
all
of,
know is true.
you know, I think Michelle Obama's whole thing was let's move. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? She was talking about that activity too. So making a broad statement about her talking about the food, you're not encompassing
Well,
the
I
whole
would start
program.
with-
RFK's not doing a bad thing here. He's trying to look out for us eating the healthiest versions of things, and other countries are already implementing some of the things that he's looking into. So why does America have to be the least healthy because we want to be the most greedy?
Because we're a free country.
No, it's not right though. We should have access to healthier, like the Doritos in the UK taste as good as the Doritos here. They don't have half.
They probably
not
do.
even half. They don't have
Well,
the same
we should-
ingredients.
in
So
some
why do we have
cases,
to
It's not as
subsidize?
colorful.
Let me finish. Let me say something. We
Ah.
subsidize some of
Oh,
the
God.
less
He's
healthy.
angry.
Like, for instance, we have massive subsidies for corn. So there's a lot
I
of
need a
corn syrup
pistol.
and everything. I would end those subsidies. There's a lot of just where the government doesn't have to nudge the use of healthier products. They should just stop whatever government policy makes it easier and cheaper for them to use the less healthy product. We could start with that.
So you're on board. This is some bipartisan
the
negotiation right
worst
now.
That
checkpoint
I'm on
I've
board
ever
with.
got.
But I'm not really. I can't even pretend that I'm on board with the health secretary,
Crap.
railing against donuts or whatever, because it's not his job. That's
So what was the
People look
top?
back
Was
and
it
they realize
donuts?
all the health effects they have in their elderly years, and you think they look back and say, if I had a choice to cut the sugar and live 10 more years, would they take it when they look at their life?
probably not.
We gotta end here. They would choose to end like
No, there's a lot more I could say on that. That does it for us on Rising Live. Look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way later today, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Hills YouTube channel so you never miss any content.
I guess I wasn't paying that close of attention to what the main overall topic was. They're putting regulation on what?
We're going to ask Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks, show us the safety data that show that it's okay for a teenage girl to drink an iced coffee with 115 grams of sugar in it.
Do they have something in their advertising that's saying that it's okay to do that? Is that the issue, or is it just that it's there? If it's just that it's there, I don't think that's his approach. If that's probably what's being misconstrued here.
I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
That jab at
They probably
the New England Coffee.
Yeah, they probably had something in their advertisement that says something like, it's a good start to your day. It's, like good, healthy jump to your day or something like that. And it's always vague. And it's like, well, we didn't mean like actually, well, we didn't mean that side of it,
Coffee staple prompted major backlash online. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey posted this photo on X, challenging Secretary Kennedy to come and take it. Several other users posted a version of the "Don't Tread on Me" flag that read, "Donut tread on me."
Oh, that's when I was going to the bathroom. Okay, gotcha. Oh, did I even turn that on? Oh, my God, BRB. I'm all thumbs today. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, like, whoever's starting their day off with Dunkin' Donuts, they're not like the pinnacle of health. Come on, let's be real.
Well, good morning, and welcome once again to Rising. We have a great...
So, obviously, Iran. I don't know what the hell is going on over at the Daily Wire, but apparently Matt Walsh, I guess, said some stuff that they didn't approve of, which makes sense because Ben's all Israel absolutist. So, yeah, well, let's get into it.
Show for you today. It is Wednesday morning, although all morning I was thinking it was Thursday. This is a very slow-moving, glacially moving week.
That was me last week.
Okay.
I was going to say we matched today.
This again.
You had some...
I had some difficulties this morning.
You spilled coffee.
I spilled coffee all
on
over my
the
dress.
train.
Luckily, it's dark. I had a nosebleed.
Nice.
It's because of my allergies. I'm using too much Flonase.
Damn,
We're
Lindsay.
fighting.
We're
to
fighting
be
for
here
our
every
lives.
day, fighting for you, the viewers.
And the weather, it's actually decent today, and it's going to hopefully get warmer so I don't have to suffer anymore.
She's
I
having
am
a day.
just heartbroken that my girl, Princess Jasmine, will not be taking... a
What? They're
magic
still counting the
carpet
ballots
ride.
in
No,
Dallas. Are you nuts? They're still counting.
It's over.
We're going to talk about that. Coming up on Rising, Senator Richard Blumenthal told reporters that he fears the U.S. may be putting boots on the ground in Iran.
Plus, Texas State Representative James Tallarico defeated Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Did you hear that, Lindsay?
Jasmine Crockett still wants those Dallas
Oh, my
ballots
goodness.
counted.
In the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate.
And CBS is reporting that the DOJ is removing Epstein files that were previously made public, but the DOJ argues that their analysis is flawed. But first, Robbie, what is on your radar today?
I'm stressing,
Alrighty,
guys.
well, the Trump administration continues to try to sell the American
is like
people
back
an
in the day.
Israeli-led U.S. strikes on Iran that have killed the Ayatollah and dozens of other high-ranking government figures, bringing a murderous and extremist regime to its knees. But some questions still remain for us, and the administration has a duty to provide answers. President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Speaker Johnson have all offered different and, at times, frankly, conflicting justifications for this war. Now, patriotic conservative Americans, MAGA,
There's no
America
lunch.
First, whatever you want to call Trump supporters, look, there's a great deal of agreement that the Ayatollah is evil and deserves to die, and that the world will be well rid of a regime that hates America and also hates Israel. I'm following so far, but there are questions, even among the MAGA faithful, about whether this strike is in America's best interests. Now, the Daily Wire's Matt Walsh, for instance, is a leading conservative pundit and Trump supporter who's not yet sold. He's been posting on X a lot about this, even drawing a response from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. He writes, I supported the Venezuela operation and I'm on board with acquiring Greenland because they both passed the only litmus test I care about. Will it be a net benefit to the United States? Venezuela and Greenland are low risk, high reward, big wins for our people.
Sure.
We gain much and lose little or nothing.
Okay.
Easy
Let's-
call, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not actually an isolationist. I'm
That's
just
why.
an America First conservative in the strictest sense of the term. Does the benefit for America outweigh the cost? It must, or it's a bad policy. That's one of my absolute core political principles, always has been. But with this Iran thing, I don't see how the math works in our favor, or at least it seems highly unlikely it will work in our favor. And so I'm against it. If that puts me at odds with the administration and with much of the conservative commentariat, so be it, but I have to stick with what I believe.
That's why he got in trouble at the Daily Wire. Just because if you're basically saying you're not for going against Iran, you're going against Israel, and that's against Ben. And whatever Ben says goes. So
My take, he's got a point. Now, Trump can overcome this, but he has to actually explain what we're doing. So let's walk through it. Is this about crippling Iran's nuclear capabilities? If so, well, I thought we just did that several months ago. Did we need to decapitate the regime and blow up a school full of children to accomplish it? Or is it about regime change? If so, why does the administration keep denying that it's a regime change war?
I question everything now. It's like, was it actually blown up? Looks like it was. Did you guys blow it up? Did we blow it up? Who's lying? I don't know anymore.
Just because that term in particular is so unpopular with the American people? But that is the goal? If so, that's rank dishonesty. Is it about our defense? Or is it about Israel's defense? This seems like the most actually likely explanation, but if it's just about a pressing threat to Israel and not the U.S., then surely Trump should be asking Congress to vote to approve military action. The president can act unilaterally only when the U.S. is threatened, not when some other country is threatened. Then there are questions about the duration of this conflict.
3 seconds to get out of there.
Are we in it until the regime falls? Until there's new leadership we can work with? Until there's a deal in place? Until Israel says so? Are we committing ground troops? How many American servicemen are expected to die in retaliatory strikes across the globe? Should we really expect no reaction from Iranian proxy groups? From China? The administration is going to need to come up with better answers to these questions because the American people do not want us to get involved in another endless war in the Middle East for good reason. Trump ran on no new wars. Things change, but this is a new war. If he wants it, he's got to sell it, particularly to his millennial supporters who have a permanent Iraq war fatigue. I was looking at polling numbers of approval of his strike. Lowest group is
So many.
our age range, because we remember Iraq most accurately. Look, again, I've said this with so many of the military interventions Trump has undertaken this term. I am prepared to be sold. I'm not unreasonable. I also want totalitarian regimes to fall all around the globe. So sell me that this is a good idea. Sell Congress, really, is what should be happening. That's not happening. Sell me, and I'm hearing way too many different and conflicting justifications. Like,
just one out.
Israel was going to be attacked because they were fighting with Iran, and so we had to do something, is very different from we're trying to stop them from getting a nuke, which we hear constantly, and did that require killing everyone in leadership there?
Around.
And we would like to see a different regime take over. I saw Trump say yesterday, like, worst case scenario,
turn around.
People just as bad take over after this.
Oh.
And I'm sorry, but that is not the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario
around,
is we start world war. It's like Russia or China do retaliatory nuking of us. That's the worst case scenario. Where a madman comes to power who
don't do shit.
Sends an army after Israel or something. Like, there are worst case scenarios. Are they likely? No. Maybe the Trump administration knows they're impossible, actually. But I can certainly think of worse outcomes than this. And if he thinks the worst outcome is basically this is all for naught and it's just as bad, well, okay, that's not exactly selling me on it either.
So you and I, for the audience, we do a hit on News Nation on Wednesdays, and so ours was canceled this morning because Hegseth was speaking. So I listened to Hegseth, his presser, and speaking of China and Russia, what I took away from that
I missed it.
was that there's no intention to try to even say things that would agitate China or Russia in this moment, because a reporter asked, do you have anything to say about China and Russia being the biggest supporters of Iran being armed in this way? And they were like, our problems with Iran. So I totally get that strategically, but also when you say about expanding into a bigger conflict, America understands all three of these powers and why we wouldn't want to go that far, and why they wouldn't want to go that far. I think what I also got from that presser was that this war is nowhere near.
I need a weapon.
One thing that stuck with me is Hegseth saying this will be done when America decides it's over. And without a clear path of why it started,
the fucking needle
we're not understanding why it needs to last this long. There's also this extra layer of having a bunch of colleagues that are in the travel space, because that's another thing that I do, that are in these Middle Eastern countries, and there was no exit strategy. There are people that were given the State Department number that are calling to find out there's nothing that they can do.
Crap.
And I'm watching that happen to so many people that I see working, just trying to bridge the gap between cultures that are over there trying to get back to the U.S. And you would think that, no one needs a forewarning that you're going to attack Iran. But at least you think you would have coordinated to have an exit strategy for some of these Americans that are in several places across the Middle East that would like to get home, that you're seeing in a hysterical state right now, not understanding what's going on. Right now we have 50,000 troops and more than 200 aircraft in Iran, and some people are not calling this a war. And I think that we need to come to terms that we have started an endless war because we're not given a date. We're getting a lot of pushback that they don't have to give a date, they don't have to give exacts. But like you said, if we're watching graves being built for more than 100 kids that were killed at a school, we need to understand that, and that was asked about in the presser too, and they said they're investigating it. And the reporter pushed back that from Saturday until now, there's no understanding of whether that was a clear target or an accident that we can respond to. And so I think there's so much confusion, that being one of the biggest things for me. Nothing wrong with taking out a dictator and authoritarian that was killing civilians, but there is a whole other layer of now being engaged in this conflict where we're watching innocent people being killed with no clear understanding of what capabilities were there, when obviously the nuclear capabilities were obliterated last summer, so there was no imminent threat. But now we're understanding that Israel had a plan to attack Iran to protect themselves, and Iran might have struck back, and that's why the U.S. felt like they needed to get involved. And so, there's a lot of conversation around what that means for the future of how we figure out international conflict, if it has to do with what other countries want to do.
Up next, we will continue discussing the latest developments with Iran, including remarks given by Pete Hegseth that we were just alluding to earlier this morning. We'll be
Yeah, that'd be crazy if they fired him. I did hear that they wanted to fire him. I guess we'll see. Yeah, this was interesting. And I've struggled with this one for a while, so... but at the same time, I think I don't think he's thought about this as deep as Andrew has, so he does get a little bit outmatched here.
Sits down with Andrew Wilson, it tends to get interesting.
Tim, you cannot both be me and you. You can only be you.
You don't know that.
Well, yeah, I do, because it would violate the law of non-contradiction.
So this is where I feel like you're running into a problem. You think you know God.
And Tim Pool claims that Andrew Wilson is an atheist.
Same thing here.
I think you're an atheist.
Okay, well, that makes no sense.
You're making the best case argument for atheism I've ever heard.
Well, guess what happens next?
God can do anything.
Well, most people wouldn't question that.
Can I go back a checkpoint? It would be so much easier.
That's incoherent.
It's not. Logic only exists within the confines of God's word. God's word is beyond your comprehension.
No, logic is a transcendental category.
Just laughing at me.
And since it's a transcendental category, we know it exists, even though it's not physical. But all things bind by it.
If everything could change at any time, the fabric of reality gone, well, how can we even have the laws of logic?
God's nature still has to be logical because it's part of his nature. His ontology is logic.
So, my point
you're saying God can make a burrito that's so big he can't eat it?
Of course.
What?
Of course.
Modernists would like nothing more than for the laws of logic.
Oh, I just stuck him too.
They aren't. So how do we contend with this?
This is where I feel like you're running into a problem. You think you know God.
Tim Pool himself just made a claim about the nature of God.
God can do anything.
He could make a God more powerful than himself. He just made that argument.
God exists outside of the confines of this logic in which you think you exist. God is so far beyond you, you cannot comprehend this. To ask if God can lift a rock is asking it's a stupid question, because we are one trechigillionth of the universe, and you are presupposing God lives in your rules.
There's a caller on the phone who asked an interesting question here.
Tim, do you think that God could be, instead of a supreme good, supreme evil?
God, as the creator of all things, is not going to be good nor evil.
Do anything.
What?
God is the good. Nothing makes that claim more clear than Scripture, if you're willing to appeal to Scripture.
I'm not a Christian.
But, I mean, it would... Okay, so...
Well, no. I'm not
the thing is like, what you're saying, what you just said is, I understand the nature of God.
No.
I understand that this being who lives in this different dimension that I could never fathom.
I'm saying God
could neither be evil nor good. That's you making a declaration that you understand the nature of God.
Tim even goes to the point of claiming that Andrew Wilson is actually an atheist. Let's see what happens.
Because contradiction exists only within our reality.
No.
You cannot comprehend what exists outside of the
Literally, the laws of logic do not actually exist physically in our reality. They're transcendental. They're transcendental categories. They govern our reality,
I don't
they don't
think
exist.
you're Christian.
I mean, that's a big claim.
Okay, what? Well, this is all.
You're saying
this is
God
all Christian
has
dogma.
to follow these rules. Period.
No.
Once again, they're playing two different games here, but let's see what happens when you have this loose game. It's not really grounded in anything except what we can't know versus what we attempt to know.
Saying that there's a part of God's nature which he has shared with us as part of his nature, as the Logos. The Logos, part of it is logic.
He's claiming that God has made a part of his nature possible to understand. That's where we derive logic from.
Only part.
Yeah, but that would mean that part of God's nature is to not violate logic.
Did God create this universe, or is this universe just a function of God?
God created the universe.
So God could change the rules?
Well, no, that would be illogical.
God could not change the rules of the universe.
No, it would go contrary to. So it's like what you're asking me is this: What would it be like if fire
Who's
wasn't hot?
perceptual Jonathan?
Well, now
Who
we've
is this guy?
changed the fundamental reality of what fire is.
The laws of logic are embedded within the very fabric of reality. That is what we strive to live in accordance with.
Humans saying, I know the nature of God, is arrogance that defies the idea of what we
I think
know
they're
we're limited
talking
in
about two
thinking.
different things.
That is, the average person thinks infinity is a number.
Yeah, but that
Well, he's thinking that the nature of God is outside of the realm of this, and Andrew is saying that this is associated with the nature of God. I think that's why they're having two different conversations.
Go to the average person.
That makes no sense because all the things that you're saying right now and attributes are trying to define the nature of God.
Granted, we can't know any of this. All we can point to are the things that have made themselves available to us.
I'm expressing to you the biblical nature of God. What God expresses to us
You're making
is part of his
an atheist
nature.
argument to me.
It's not atheist.
It's the opposite.
It's the opposite. It's dogma.
It is the
Atheists are the
opposite
ones who
because
argue
you're
to me the
finding
universe-
patterns of you're finding patterns of that nature within this realm.
Is mathematical, logical, cold, and it is what it is.
And I think Tim is assuming that the creator just makes the realm and walks away, and he's of different nature.
It is functions as such.
No, they're physicalists.
And
They would argue the opposite.
Einsteinian God, which is an atheist view, is the view that that God is a God of science and that exists as some form of the universe.
That wouldn't be an atheist view because an atheist doesn't believe in God.
My view of God is that God exists beyond, and that our concepts of physics are just components of what God has created, and God is likely beyond our own perception and comprehension.
But you've said a bunch of things here that have entailments. God creates. So we know that for sure, right?
And in science, nothing
So
can be created.
hang on. So if God creates and God was the first thing, then that means God was uncreated.
Yes.
Yeah. So if God was uncreated and God created, now we know something about the nature of God.
Certainly.
But Tim just claimed we can't attempt to know the nature of God.
Yeah. So this is my whole point. And so we could say the same thing, right? Same thing here.
I think you're an atheist.
Okay, well, that makes no
you're
sense.
Making the best. You're making the best case argument for atheism I've ever heard.
How?
That God is what we experience in the universe is what we.
Because he's using logic, and that is of that nature. But I think a lot of atheists try to use it against. And I did too at one time, so I got to admit I used to be one of them. But it starts to fall apart when you keep peeling the layers back.
Who describe as God is it is the definition of everything atheists have ever argued to me.
Atheists claim there is no God. The opposite of everything Andrew is doing here.
I'm not even making arguments to you right now. All I'm doing is expressing to you
God
that
is not all powerful.
No, the opposite.
You said God can't create a boulder he cannot lift.
No, because
every single priest
do you know what
and theologian I've talked to has said the opposite.
No, none of them.
I think the problem is sometimes Tim gets in a bit over his head.
Their dogma literally would prevent them from defying the
He
nature
likes to be
of
right.
God.
That's for
Not
sure.
a single theologian on planet Earth who's a priest has ever said to you, Tim, God could create a God more powerful than him. That never happened.
No, they said
it's not possible.
To claim to understand the power of God is arrogance to assert that you know what God
I'm
could
not
or could
saying
not
what
do.
the power of God is.
You are attempting to live in accordance with the nature of God. Therefore, you are trying to understand the nature of God in some way. That's absolute arrogance, according to Tim Pool.
I don't know exactly what the limits of all powerful are.
No, you're saying
All
that this reality is a part of God and is what it is, and it's uncontradictory and unchanging.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that the laws of logic, right? The law of identity, the law of non-contradiction, the law of excluded middle, are part of the nature of God. We know this because this is how God created everything and how God expressed to us he creates. So if that is the case, we can understand that that's part of God's nature. He will not defy his nature because it's his nature. Will not defy.
The nature of God, as you described it, is the universe.
No, it's not the universe. The universe had a creator.
Yes, and
that creator had to be uncreated.
So when he says uncreated, he means God was not created by anything else.
Logic is part of God's nature. You're saying that because the universe is also governed by logical rules, that means that it's part of God. That doesn't even follow.
You said that.
No, the opposite. I'm saying the opposite of that.
So God is illogical.
No, that doesn't even make sense either. What you're saying, all these things you say, they don't follow from one another.
I respect Tim's attempt to even try and have these conversations, and you're dealing with someone like Andrew Wilson who has taken the time to think about this, so it's going to be very challenging.
So you have to back up to the beginning.
Yeah, so you said the logos, God, the logic, God is non-contradictory.
Yeah.
What God cannot create a boulder that he himself cannot lift.
Yeah,
because that is illogical.
no, because it's against his nature.
What does that mean?
It means that you can't do things which defy your nature because otherwise you wouldn't be you.
Explain his nature.
I just did. Part of his nature is the logos and the law of logic. That's part of his nature.
That cannot be changed.
Now we have arrived at clarification.
Yeah, I suppose God could change his nature, but why you can't change your nature? You wouldn't change your nature.
God can't change his nature.
You wouldn't change your nature. That's the right way to phrase it. You wouldn't change your nature.
Or can he not?
Could he?
Yes.
I don't know, but I don't think it matters because your nature is what matters.
So you agree with me?
No, I don't agree with you. What you're saying is antithetical to actual dogma.
He's trying to contend with these ideas and one-up them, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's interesting, and he's a smart guy. Just don't be surprised when there are flaws.
Yeah. He tried. Oh, I do gotta run for a little bit, but I will be